Hey everybody, and welcome to another paranormal pit stop, which tonight lands us at a 75-acre National Historic Site nestled along the Arkansas River in the western reaches of the state near the Oklahoma border. That's main building is hosted out of a former barracks, courthouse, and jail. During the time of the American frontier, this location marked the wild's edge and acted as a boundary between territory controlled by the U.S. and lands adamantly defended by native tribes. A place where outlaws sought refuge, where countless murders transpired alongside all manner of nefarious deeds, and where, today, it's purported a host of restless spirits bear testament to the expanse's tumultuous past. Are you ready to brave the ghosts of Fort Smith National Historic Site? Historically, an early U.S. fort was established on site in 1817 under the guidance of one Major William Bradford, and was purposed to maintain harmony between the local Osage tribe, who'd long controlled the territory, and a band of Cherokee who'd traveled west under the orders given by European Americans. In 1824, this initial fort was left abandoned when Fort Gibson was erected further west, and later, Army settler and land speculator John Rogers would buy up the former government lands and would promote the growth of a new civilian community under the same name of Fort Smith. American troops would return to the aged installment in 1827 to maintain order through the Trail of Tears campaign, during which 60,000 Native Americans were forcibly displaced, but would arrive to find it in ruin. And while repairs were made to the old structures in 1831, ultimately another Fort Smith was constructed in 1838 near what remained of the initial site. In 1861, the fort was occupied by Arkansas state troopers alongside Confederate forces, and together they would hold the old post for roughly a year through the Civil War, until September 1st of 1863, when Union forces under General Steele would take control of the defense. A small fight would occur on site on July 31st of 1864, but the Union would manage to hold Smith until the end of the war. In 1871, federal troops would abandon the fortification for a final time. In 1872, the first United States District Court for the Western District of Arkansas was established within, with its 27 associated buildings serving various federal and civilian uses. And in 1910, the Old Fort Museum Association would utilize the commissary to display its materials. In 1957, the courthouse was restored to original condition. In 1958, the site was excavated to make way for teams of archaeologists. And in 1961, in order to ensure the protection and preservation of the two 19th century forts, the whole of the Smith was declared a National Historic Site. Fort Smith National Historic Site remains open into the present, additionally offering the ruins of the old fort, the commissary building, a reconstruction of a gallows utilized by the federal courts, and a walking trail along the Arkansas River, which includes exhibits surrounding the Trail of Tears. Not surprisingly, supernatural happenings near the old defense are suspected to be a result of its dark history. Disturbingly, relocated native peoples suffered horribly on the trail, from exposure, disease, starvation, and dehydration, and thousands would die en route to their designated reserves. Across the old fort site, especially near the river trail, visitors have reported encounters with the apparitions of those who succumbed to the brutal journey's perils, often appearing malnourished or ill, and looking so solid, some have mistaken them for reenactors. Following the Civil War, sexual assault and murder were deemed crimes punishable by death, and from 1873 to 1896, a total of 86 individuals were executed at Smith's Gallows. Of the 86 hanged, 79 were sentenced by Judge Isaac C. Parker, also known as the Hanging Judge. During Parker's reign from 1875 until his death in 1896, he'd hand down a total of 160 death sentences, and it's rumored the restless spirits of all those whose lives he ended remain. While the gallows currently viewable is simply a reconstruction, those who've climbed its steps have told of an otherworldly chill, even on hot summer days, and some have described an overwhelming feeling that they are in the presence of something evil. Some stories tell that the spirit of Judge Parker himself still haunts the old courthouse, and those who've entered the courtroom after dark have reported disembodied voices and commotion that grows louder, to the point it's almost deafening, until the phantom rap of a gavel is heard, after which the room always goes silent. This gavel noise has been heard frequently throughout the rest of the building as well, and has even been captured in several recordings. Also reported across the entirety of the Fort Smith site are eerie shadow beings spied lurking in corners, orbs in strange forms captured often in the background of photography, the constant feeling of being watched or followed, and encounters with full-bodied entities spanning the eras. Lastly, the Fort Smith National Cemetery initially began as burying grounds for the old post, was elevated to National Cemetery status in 1867, and holds the remains of Judge Parker and his wife. Those who've braved its expanse have told of disembodied footsteps heard crunching through surrounding grass, eerie blue lights spied floating over grave markers, a ghostly funeral procession accompanied by disembodied voices similar to a choir, and a spectral Civil War soldier leading a phantom horse that's usually encountered after dark. Thanks for joining us on this paranormal pit stop. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Pleasant dreams.